a Super Nintendo for Christmas, I think in first grade, so I was 7 years old, and it was the coolest thing I had ever seen in my entire life. And the very first game that I had, because it came with it when you bought the console back then, Super Mario Brothers came with it. And that was the first game I ever played, and I got so into it. And my mom would watch me play, and she'd be like, hey, can I play? Because she didn't want to admit that she really wanted to play, but she really wanted to play. She'd be Mario and I was Luigi, because that's just how it was. And we played for so long, and it was so fun, and we must have invested like 6 months of our lives into this game, and then one day all of our progress got erased. So that just sort of became a fun little glitch that would happen every now and then. And whenever I go to my parents' house, because my mom will not let it out of her sight, it's got to stay there, I play my game. And I remember all the good times we used to have when I was a little kid playing Super Mario.
I never was a big fan of One Piece. The drawing style was really weird. It was like too cartoony, if that makes any sense. I actually, in college, I want to say sophomore or junior year, I just sat down. I was like, I'm gonna watch the first 3 episodes and then see what happens. And I was floored by the music and had just a warmth and a depth to it that I couldn't get from the drawing style. It was also one of the few shows that was still using an orchestral score. Fits exactly the demeanor and the actions of a character, especially a main character. So I was thoroughly impressed by the score. It inspired me to continue watching the show and watching more and more, and I got super involved to where that whole summer I did nothing but watch all like 300 and something episodes of One Piece because I couldn't stop. I didn't want to go to sleep. I was not a big superhero fan when I was growing up. That was not what I read or watched, I mean, other than Sailor Moon. I wasn't a comic book reader. I did watch a lot of cartoons, and the one that I still remember to this day was Batman the Animated Series. I remember it because I could only watch it in the afternoon or in the morning during the daytime because I could not watch it at night. This was elementary school. Once it hit like 7 p.m., I was way too scared to watch Batman TAS at all. The music was just too freaky, and there was too many like glissandi and scary sounds and scary notes. I think last year when I went back and watched the whole Batman series from start to finish, I realized that it probably had an effect on my aesthetic musically, because the score was full of so many strings, and it was definitely more of a movie score than any TV score I had heard at that age. And there were moments during the show when there would be no dialogue and it was just music, and that was extremely effective because it not only put me in the situation, it made me feel scared, obviously, but it made me root for the Batman character and kept me involved. I could sense the action, the frustration, or the danger just by the musical aspect of it.
Yeah, SNES. I remember playing this game as a kid. It's one of the things that got me interested in opera. Okay, not really.
Okay,
but it was like an introduction. It did like get me into it a little bit. No, it's funny. It came out of nowhere. You're in the middle of fighting. You're trying to save the world, and here you are trying to remember lines. You're not even aware that you need to remember these lines. You were having to go back and forth, and you would spend significant time in this opera. And here you are again trying to save the world. Like that's your priority. Save the world with opera. Yeah, that's what we strive to do today. It's amazing looking back on like what we have today compared to what we had back then. More of it was just in your mind's eye and the imagination. Oh, I love Block.
Nobody in this orchestra knows about Inuyasha. Am I the only person who ever watched Toonami and Adult Swim? That's like the defining feature of my middle school and early high school existence. Family Guy, American Dad, and then Inuyasha. Inuyasha had the most defining music of a cartoon series of an anime series that I had seen up to that point. Leitmotifs and themes for each of the characters that kept recurring. The score was extremely cohesive, and you can hear these little parts happen. The evil villain, Naraku, has his own. So there's a lot of development and maturity to the soundtrack that even at that age, though I wasn't studying music in terms of chording and structure, and that I was only learning how to play it, I could still pick up on the fact that this was geniusly crafted score that fit not only the action of the show, but the characters who were involved in it.
My first experience with Sailor Moon, I used to watch it before school, before I would get on the bus in the morning. Like after I did my little morning routine, I had some cartoon time, and I don't know if it was on like Channel 9 or the WB when that was a thing, but I discovered it one morning and I just loved it. And it sort of became a thing with me and my dad. He was really into Tuxedo Mask for some reason. I don't know why. And that was my dad's thing, and we used to watch it together, and it was really fun. And then it just sort of disappeared, and I didn't really hear about it again. So I just harbored this secret love for Sailor Moon. And then when Bobby put the Sailor Moon concert together, I was so excited because this is the first time I had heard the music or anything about Sailor Moon since, I was like 8, so it was like 20 years ago.
I was working in a hotel, and I was working the front desk night shift. So my job was from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And at 4 a.m. on the Disney Channel, after watching all my Lifetime movies, they were playing the Little Mermaid TV series, which I hadn't seen for 10, 12 years. Very different from the actual movie. But that inspired me to go back and see the real movie. And I was struck by Ariel's Part of Your World song. For some reason, it was extremely beautiful and emotionally charged when I watched it when I was older. I don't know if I had just been through some stuff at that point in time, but I could really connect with her desire to fit into this new world, to explore new terrains. I actually like Kiki's delivery service more, because I think I connect with the characters and the main character a bit more, and her growth, coming of age-ness to the story. But the other part, of course, Joe Hisaishi is my favorite composer, and his score for this is very lighthearted. It's kind of a throwback, a style of music that I particularly enjoy. It really made it my favorite. So I was super excited to find out that Hisaishi himself had arranged the theme from the movie for a string ensemble with piano and some light percussion. I was very lucky to find that through Shot Music and rented from overseas. They actually shipped it here from Japan. So we're debuting the US premiere of this Kiki's Delivery Service arrangement by the composer himself, Joe Hisaishi. Intelligent Cube. We did, iconiQ Sound Orchestra did a PlayStation tribute concert in February where we were celebrating the PlayStation's 20th anniversary. And as people played the games like Final Fantasy VII, Crash Bandicoot, and Spiral of the Dragon, we were playing the music and sort of reacting to what they were doing. I wanted to select games that were of different genres, a fighting game, an RPG, and a puzzle game. And I stumbled across Intelligent Cube, not a game I had ever heard of. So looking at this puzzle game, which is extremely confusing, by the way, nobody can play it. Nobody at the concert could actually figure out how the game worked. But the music is so distracting, it's probably the word I'd use. Not at all what I would hear or think of when I think of a puzzle game, because you think of something that's a little bit more meandering, lighthearted, almost childlike, but this was deep. This was film music. This was like scary, whole tone scale music that had a lot of different key changes and different modes. 100% distracted by the musical development in each of these stages. And even though everyone kept losing the game, we never got to play the whole thing, I'm happy that we can play it now.
So the first time that I saw Digimon, I think I was like 10 or something. I think it came out when I was 10. And to be honest, I like Pokemon better, but I like the music from Digimon. It's just really fun to rock out to, and it's just a fun way to remember your childhood. So I always liked Agumon the best, just because he's totally one of the cutest ones, and I liked how he digivolves.
So growing up for me, The Simpsons was a show the whole family would sit around the TV and watch every night, and you know, everyone knows that theme. Aside from being a bassoonist, I'm also a baritone sax player, and definitely seeing Lisa, you know, honk the horn was a huge influence on me growing up to play that instrument as well. So during the recording session, I was trying so hard not to laugh from Christian and the other actors and actresses, because they were doing such a good job of emulating the characters like Ned Flanders and Maggie and Marge, and it was a thrill to be able to play some of those parts on the baritone sax, since that was Lisa's instrument.